Alonso Munoz is with us, CIO at Hamilton Capital Partners. What do you think about this market, which right now the VIX is taking a breather? We crossed above 5,700 on the S&P 500. Do you think the bottom was put in mid-April?
Hey, Nicole, it's great to see you. We think so. I mean, the market really sold off. We talked around that time, Nicole, and it was very busy. The market was very ugly. The momentum to the downside was really, really strong. So we think that the worst of the news is behind us, ripping off of the Band-Aid, if you will. So we were buyers, as we talked about, obviously, in the past, and we think that now the market is looking forward. Clearly, the economic data has been pretty strong. And so the economy went into this with strong footing. We're looking forward. Obviously, we had a big Fed decision yesterday, no cuts, but Fed Chairman Jay Powell was pretty optimistic about the economy, and we're taking that in full stride as we look forward.
So at this point now, when you said we were buyers, you bought on the dip. What were you buying?
We talked about this, Nicole. We were buying tech. We're mainly tech investors. So we were buying names like Google, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, and more, Meta. And those have played out pretty nicely since then, at least over the last couple of weeks. And now we're just waiting to see how the data starts to play out over the next couple of weeks. As you know, we get CPI and PPI next week. And that'll be really important as we start to assess what the Fed is going to do later this year in terms of rate cuts. We saw a pretty ugly sell-off in the bond market. The 30-year auction tailed around 1 p.m. today, which wasn't a great sign. But the equity markets are rallying. Bonds are falling, and there are opportunities in this market for investors and traders to pick at.
So a name like Google, for example, Alphabet Google, sold off, has had some headline-driven risk to it, but it has come back. I mean, 1 month it's up 7%, but it's not up as much as some of the others in 1 month. Do you still think this is a valuation opportunity? Maybe something like Google, you buy it here today?
Well, maybe. It looks attractive. We own it for disclosures, and our clients own it. But when you look at this compared to the other hyperscalers and AI names, it does look maybe not cheap, but lower valuation and good entry points. We saw the headline risk yesterday. Apple may be integrating some of that AI into their search solution. But Google's a really great American diversified company. They have strong ad revenue. They posted really, really good earnings late April. So this is a company that we're still excited about. It has some headwinds. It has some regulatory struggles, but we're going to continue to own it, and we're going to buy it and pick at it on weakness, certainly.
And what else would you be looking at? So you do mostly tech. We think about the Magnificent Seven, but there's so much more that comes out of AI and so much when it comes to tech. What other kinds of tech do you like?
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, there's a lot out there. I'll bring up a name that we've been watching, which is Apollo. It trades on the ticker APO. And this is an asset manager, one of the largest private equity companies out there. And we've seen, Nicole, we've talked a little bit about this, the democratization of private assets and alternative assets and making that available to retail investors and folks like you and I to be able to participate in a field that was traditionally dominated by the large players and the hedge funds and the institutional buyers. So this is an interesting name for investors to participate in that gold rush, if you will, to alternative assets. And it's very clear, obviously being in the financial space, but watching the industry evolve, folks are interested about alternative assets, not just in their retail portfolios or brokerage portfolios, but also in their 401ks and other avenues. So this is one of the top tier private equity alternative asset managers, and it's a name that we're going to continue to watch going forward.
Right, understood. Is there anything that you would avoid? I mean, we have commodities sort of going back and forth. Oil hit 4-year lows. The gold trade is off of its highs of over 3,400. Anything in there that seems like an opportunity or stay away from?
Well, what's interesting, Nicole, that you bring that up, the Treasury curve looks a little bit interesting. It looks attractive on the short end of the curve, but the long end of the yield curve has been very volatile. We know that, the government's going to have to work through some things as they potentially extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We didn't have a great auction today, so yields moving higher, bonds selling off. So for folks that are looking maybe to extend duration, it is a bit of a risky game when you look at the headwinds. Maybe inflation picks up a little bit because of the tariffs. So we'll see. I think the yield curve looks interesting, but buyer beware as you look further on than the 2-year Treasury. A lot of volatility in that part of the yield curve.
Yeah, understood. What about something like Bitcoin? Do people ask you? I don't know how much you dabble in Bitcoin. As it hits 100,000, I have to put the question out there: is that something that you have been interested in, watching, maybe interested in the future?
We are. That's a great question. It's actually a really interesting question because a lot of our clients, specifically clients that have been averse to cryptocurrency over the last couple of years, now want to at least understand it and maybe even participate. And frankly, Nicole, as you've talked about in the past, the availability of placing these assets within a portfolio, I think, is the highest that it's ever been, whether that's an ETF or the actual cryptocurrencies, if you will, on all these providers that are out there. So we're watching it closely. There are clients that own it and like it, and they treat it as part of their asset allocation. So it's something that we're going to watch, and I think it has there are policy implications in DC that will continue to push this, at least the crypto narrative, forward. And so we're watching it very closely. We get a lot of questions about it, and I suspect that we'll continue to.
Right. Now, you mentioned Apollo as a name that you like, APO. That's one you like. Are there any others that you care to share today for ticker symbols?
We do. Look, I know on the program a little bit earlier, you talked about Tesla. We like Tesla a lot. We think that there are catalysts coming up this summer and later this year that could drive the stock higher. Things like the robotaxi and the cybercab coming to market, Optimus, which is their humanoid-like robot, and the applicability maybe in the manufacturing sector and others. So this is a name that's sold off significantly, as we've talked about in the past. Since December, it's taken a beating. It's come back. It's had a nice little rally, but we're watching it very closely. Great company. They just moved and rolled out their new Model Y, so we're going to watch it. We've been picking at it too, so we think it's a great name. We're going to continue to own it.
Right, understood. It's really good to see you. How high do you think Tesla can go? I mean, it's at 288 today. Maybe this year or next year, do you have a price target?
Well, I'll leave that to the analysts that set price targets, but hopefully it goes way up, and that'd be great for our shareholders and our clients. So we're going to watch it super closely.
Right, understood. All right. Alonso Munoz, thank you so much of Hamilton Capital. Great to see you. Thanks.
Good to see you, Nicole. Thank you.